Cool. So we're live.
Live.
Thank you for coming out here, Erica.
Thanks for having me.
I really
Happy
appreciate
to be
it.
here.
I'm really excited. This is our second actual show for the Adelphia Friday Business Show.
Nice.
So I wanted to, obviously, thanks for coming out. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
You know, and I'm going to start it off. I have a couple questions for you. I kind of want to get, there's a couple different, goals I have in mind with the show. And a few of them are obviously to talk about business strategy, business mindset, positivity are the three main topics that I really want to hit hard. And obviously want to do whatever I can to highlight you and see kind of more about you. So we'll just jump right into it. So Erica, why don't you just quickly tell us about just who you are, what you do, and
Sure. All right. I'm Erica Benvenuto, and I am the Senior Talent Acquisition Manager and a Loan Originator at New American Funding. So I recruit branch managers, loan officers all across the country, and I recently started originating as well.
Right. Okay, so also I'm going to just kind of go about this because my audience probably has no idea what like that stuff means.
Okay.
I honestly don't know that much about that industry.
So
you can try to talk to me like I'm like a brand new person.
Like a little baby?
A baby.
All right.
Talk to me like I'm a baby.
So a talent acquisition manager is basically a recruiter. So it is my job to find, like I said, either teams or individual loan officers all throughout the country that, and a loan originator, for those of you who don't know, is a mortgage loan originator, someone that lends money to people for a home loan, for a purchase or a refinance. Okay. And so...
and you find those people?
I do. So, luckily, we've got some good technology that allows us to search for our targeted, prospects, candidates that we're looking for. So...
And is that like a management system, or what is that?
It is. So we have a system that New American Funding created, and it basically can track the production for originators. So I can look it up by company name. I can look it up by, I can search an area, like pick a spot on the map, and it'll show me all of the branches within that area, what their volume is, everybody that's on the team. And it also breaks down percentage of purchase versus refinance, all the different loan types that they're doing.
Essentially, you're just finding the killers in the game. Like, you're just finding the best people out there.
Exactly.
Through this system.
Right. So, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, everybody loves to hire a top producer, but we also like to look for people that have a lot of potential and just might not be on the right platform right now. Yeah. So,
And do you feel like a lot of them are?
I definitely feel, in this business, it is very typical for people to move around every couple of years. Some people move around once a year. It's crazy. Wow. Sometimes when I'll look at, you go into the NMLS consumer website where it shows, it's pretty much a resume for each person. It shows all of their employment history, where they've worked and where they're licensed and everything. And it's crazy because sometimes, I'll be after a candidate and I'll see that that they've moved around like once a year, and so you're always a little timid. And
does that give you like a red flag, would you say, or no?
Well, definitely, because the thing is you don't want to have the company invest in someone that's going to come over, be there for a year, and then take off to another company. Right. We call them hoppers. Yeah. And something that a lot of people will do, and I mean, if I'm describing you, it's nothing personal, no offense, but there's right now, especially because it's so competitive in this industry with recruiting, because rates are really low.
That's what
so
I keep
people
hearing.
Are doing really well. And when pipelines are full, it's a little bit more challenging to get people to switch companies. So
you think it's more challenging when the rates are low?
I think it's more challenging when the rates are low. When business is good, it's more challenging to get people to switch unless they're experiencing like specific pains. Because when you do make a transition to another company, I don't care what company you're going to, like it does affect your business. You've got to clear out your pipeline with the company that you're at right now. And then you've got to start submitting new loans to the new company. So you're starting from zero, where if you are sticking it out with whatever company you're at, you're just consistently working on the pipeline that you're already maintaining. You've got loans in the system that, you could have people that have completed an application and
Sure.
are pre-qualified and are going out to look for homes to make an offer. And it's so, anyways, I might be getting a little bit too detailed.
No worries,
into it,
no worries.
But yeah,
So Erica, I want to take it a little bit on a different
sure.
route. Just
okay.
I want also the audience to kind of get to know who you are.
Sure.
So let's take it like back a little bit. Where did you grow up? Where did it all start?
Okay.
Who are you? And so what kind of like kid were you? That's really what I want to know. It's like what kind of kid were you? Like growing up.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Were you like a good kid? Were you like a troublemaking kid?
All right,
What's the story? Because I honestly don't know this either.
Okay.
You know, so
no, it's
I'm curious.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you. So I was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
I was born in the Tarzana Hospital.
Really?
Yeah. And
wow.
and then for the first couple of years of my life, I lived in Simi Valley with my parents. My dad got a job offer. He was a stockbroker at the time.
Wow.
And we ended up moving to Tennessee for a couple of years for business for him. I think I was 4 years old. Yeah, but I was really young. I think I was 4 when we moved there. And then my parents ended up splitting a couple of years later when I was like 7. And then my sister and I moved to Mississippi for a couple of months with my mom. Yeah.
Dang.
But I actually, and I don't want to get too like, I don't want to make this sad, but I think that my childhood has a lot to do with who I am today. I mean, that goes for everybody. I mean, everyone's childhood shapes them to who they are. But I didn't have an easy childhood after those years when my parents split. Both of my parents like struggled with addiction and stuff, and so my sister and I are super, super tight, and we've kind of like, you know, we've always had other people in our family that have been there to support us, but we've always had to really be independent and kind of be in survival mode, if you want to put it that way.
For sure.
So,
and I mean, that definitely makes you have tough skin, or you know?
For sure. So after they split, we moved to Mississippi from Tennessee very briefly, and then we ended up, my dad came and got us from Mississippi when I was like 9 years old.
Okay.
And then he moved us back to California.
And that's where you ended up here.
And that's where I ended up here. But unfortunately, at that time, that was the last time that I ever even saw my mother. So that, you know, it's dealing with like loss like that at a young age kind of like helps you to have that thick skin that you're talking about. To be able to, you know, always do things. And so, you know, as I got older, like things were not super easy, you know. We didn't have a ton of money when I was growing up. And so as soon as I was like old enough to work, and my grandma really instilled this in me, even when I was a kid, like I used to go work with her at her office, and she does annuities, and I would just, you know, file for her. She paid me like $5 an hour.
Wow.
Do that kind of stuff. And then I got a worker's permit when I was 16 years old, and I got a job at the Sherman Oaks Fashion Square.
Oh,
I worked a couple of places. There was this place called Red Earth.
So that was your first job besides the filing that you did?
Yes. So Red Earth in Fashion Square. It's like kind of like a Bath and Body Works kind of place, but like a little bit more natural.
Nice. Okay.
So I worked there. And then I got a job at Paradise Bakery in the Fashion Square. I think I got fired from there because I didn't want to scrape the cookie dough off the floor.
Oh my god.
And then I worked at Jamba Juice when I was so I worked at Jamba Juice in Sherman Oaks.
So would you say your smoothie skills, how are they now?
Oh, I kill it.
You're killing the smoothie game?
My smoothie skills are on point.
Okay.
Yeah, but I even like, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to have like an option where someone could wear the banana outfit at Jamba Juice and like go outside and hand out samples of smoothies, and we kind of all fight over who got to do it, because if you're wearing the banana suit, because you're not like working when you're doing that, you're just like outside like chilling, and you know, all of our friends used to come by and stuff. So
but you're wearing a banana suit. You know?
I know, but when you're 16, you don't really care.
That's true, yeah, I guess.
So
that's hilarious. So then you went on to Jamba Juice. How did you end up eventually getting into what you're doing now?
Okay, so after that, I think I was at Jamba Juice until I was 18, and then my boyfriend at the time, we were together for like 5 years when I was from like 16 till I was like 21. So I was really close with his mom, and his mom is the one that got me into the business, and I still have so much like respect for this woman until this day. So she, you know, she knew that I was kind of having trouble at home and stuff. I think, as a matter of fact, I think that I was. She even was letting me like live with them at this time.
Right.
So she said, you know, come and do some copying after school and on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would copy the funded files and ship them off to be audited.
Right.
And then the person at the time who was the receptionist got promoted to drawing docs or something. And so they said, hey, do you want to be the receptionist? Now, this was when I was 18.
Wow. It's a good job for an 18-year-old.
It is.
You know, like you're in a professional environment. I was still just figuring my stuff out at 18 years old.
You know what? It was a really good job, and up until that point, obviously, like the best job I had ever had.
Jamba Juice to
yeah, and like when you're that age, it was like good money. I don't remember how much money I was making, but it was way more than I needed. I was enough for me to like go out and get my own apartment and stuff. So,
so you're working there.
So I was working there, and I mean, from there, I really went to all the different positions. So I started out as the receptionist. I then drew docs. I was a doc drawer.
Wow.
Then I was a funder. Then I was an account manager, which is kind of like a processor for wholesale. And then I was an account executive, which is for, again, wholesale.
And this is what company is this at this point?
This company was called First Franklin, and I was there for almost 10 years. Yeah,
wow.
And I still have lots of friends to this day that we all, one of the girls that I worked with at the time, we now work together at New American Funding. So yeah.
And then then you went over to, I believe it was guaranteed. Was it Guaranteed Rate Next or was it?
No, so that wasn't until later. So First Franklin shut down in like 2007, or my branch did anyways. And so at that time I left. I actually did insurance for a little while.
Wow, I did not know this.
I did. So I did insurance. I was pregnant when the company or my branch shut down.
And you're doing like what? What type of insurance? At this point?
I was doing like life insurance and that type of thing.
Did you like it?
I think the company was called like AIG or something like
that.
Right,
AIG.
Okay, AIG. I mean, to be honest, I didn't love it. I was pregnant and I was driving out to Ventura every day, and we would like huddle, and then they're like, okay, now we're going to go out. Everybody has like these goals, and I did really well, to be honest with you. Like at that time, I came from making a lot of money doing subprime mortgage.
Right.
So when I started doing the insurance, it didn't seem like a lot of money then, but then looking back on it, I mean, it was good money. It just in comparison to what I was used to. But
so Erica, I want to keep going on because we have a couple more questions I want to ask you, and I want to make sure we cover all of them. And honestly, I do believe that what your story has it does, your childhood and growing up, the circumstances do mold you. So I applaud you first of all for the thick skin and everything you went through and being where you're at today. So. So my next question, kind of going into, and now I'm fast forwarding a bit. You're at Guaranteed Rate. Let's say you're at Guaranteed Rate. What was that transition like from Guaranteed Rate to New American Funding? Was it kind of like difficult? Did you feel, was it any hurdles that you really had to go over in the meantime, or was it kind of a smooth transition?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it's always, for me, I build relationships with people, part of my job, but it's just the kind of person I've always been. So probably why I ended up doing things like this. So, the people I worked with I still consider my friends. And so that part is hard. It's hard, like, leaving the people that you've been working with for so long. I was there for 4 years. So, we had, I had a lot of friendships and that I still do, but it's hard because you go from working with the same people every day to now you're in a totally different spot where you really don't know many people. Luckily enough, my team at New American Funding have been amazing. My leadership team is awesome. And so they did make the transition as easy as I think that it could be. For recruiting, it's always a little bit of a challenge when you leave a company and go to another company, because as a recruiter, your job is to get people to understand why they should be going to the company that you're at. So when you leave that company, it's like, I think that might stand out. It's more for a recruiter so than a lot of the other positions in this industry. But I think that it was smooth as easy as it could have been. Yes, definitely.
Cool. Another question for you. What would you say is a good piece of advice for, let's say, somebody who's going into the industry for the first time, day one, they don't know anything, this person is just walking in the door.
So into the mortgage industry. Day one, like as a loan originator?
Yeah, let's say loan originator. And they're just walking in day one through the doors. They're saying, I don't know where to start. somebody, please, Erica, please give me a piece of advice.
I would say
something.
definitely you need a mentor. You need someone that knows what they're doing and that is willing to give you the time that you need.
Yeah. Did you
not
ever
everyone
get a mentor?
has that. I feel like there's a lot of people that I work with that are sort of mentors to me. I would like to establish somebody that is more of a coach, and so that's something that I'm actually looking into right now. Being that I did just start originating myself, I definitely need. I think that I need somebody like what I'm describing, and so that's why that popped into my head immediately because.
Expedite the process of
It's just like what people say, when you surround yourself with people that are more successful than you, that's how you become more successful.
Exactly.
If you're the smartest person in the room, if you're the most successful person in the room,
there you go.
You don't really have much anywhere else to go, right?
Exactly. And it's funny, we actually covered that exact same, we said the exact same line in the previous episode 1.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy Senna that were here interviewed him last week, and it was the exact same line. You never want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be constantly just getting uncomfortable, pushing yourself and surrounding yourself with people that you feel are better than you.
Right.
So,
and that's another thing I would say is do things that make you uncomfortable. Go beyond your comfort zone because you will not grow when you're comfortable.
Right. And I think that also that's a good transition into kind of what we talked about before we even started shooting. Video and social media and leveraging that stuff. I personally, I'll tell you the truth, I'm not super comfortable in front of a camera always. For the most part I am, but
are you more comfortable now than you were when you first started?
Oh, definitely. 100%.
And you'll continue to get more comfortable and more comfortable.
Exactly. So
and what you're doing now, this is awesome that you're, doing these shows. I love it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
by episode 50, you're gonna just be
exactly
the Ryan Seacrest of the insurance show.
We're gonna be rolling for sure. By episode 50, I think we'll be rolling for sure. But
nice.
The more you do the uncomfortable, the more it becomes comfortable. So
exactly.
I think it's a very, very important thing to just if you're feeling comfortable right now, you should probably start looking into some other stuff that you could possibly push yourself or be around people that make you almost feel like you need to step it up.
Definitely.
So that's a good sign. If anybody's out there watching and they feel really comfortable right now, you should probably
do something about it.
Do something about it. Get uncomfortable right now. So let's go into another quick question for you. And I'm curious about this because I watch you on social media. I see that you're fun. You go out, you do your thing. But, so what would you say is like your work-life balance? Like how do you feel about like having fun, or what do you do to manage workload versus family time or friends, going out with friends? And
so I mean I work from home, so that here's something I'll start out with. I think that most people will say you have to have a point where you leave work at work and you leave your family time at home or whatever it is. I don't necessarily agree with that. I very much blend my personal life, my social life with my work life. I don't know if it's just because of what I do specifically. I find that even a lot of people in my business that will say that you have to separate the two. They don't really separate the two. There's a lot of social gatherings in this industry, and you become friends with people, and those friendships, those relationships really do a ton for your business because people want to do business with the ones that they like. So if someone is my good friend that I met through the industry, but now we're good friends, somebody they're gonna come to me before they go to somebody else.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Even if it might be someone more established. I think so that's always how I've worked. That's
100%
how I've
agree.
With recruiting in the past. That's what I do is I start to almost become friends with people because I talk to them so much, and I do I care about people, and so when I start to get to know someone, I genuinely will do my best to make notes of what's going on in their lives, not just professionally but personally. If they tell me how many kids they have, or that they're planning a trip to Disneyland, or
you actually take
things
down,
like
you
that,
do kind of note it a little bit.
I write all of that down. I put all of them in my
interesting.
systems, and that way the next time we're having a conversation and I'm looking back at my
refresh
notes,
yourself.
I could say, how was your trip to Disneyland? How was your son's graduation?
Right.
Because it shows awesome. That you care, and when people think that you care about them, that it makes them more comfortable. It makes them trust you more.
Sure. That's actually really smart, first of all. And it's interesting because I sometimes like I look at, people that are famous and have a big, following.
Mm-hmm.
A good example right now that's a big topic and it's, all over everything is Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant is somebody like I've heard countless stories of people like that would interact with him mm-hmm. or just run into him and he would remember stuff about them. And sometimes I'm like blown away. I'm like, if you know, how many people did he really know?
Yeah.
And, to the point where he still remembers, like, I have trouble remembering people like from like high school, like, it wasn't that long ago, but
when people make an impact on your life, for sure. I mean, especially now that you brought it up with the whole, Kobe, it's so sad, but, it does make you realize so many things, how precious life is. But going on with what you were saying, one thing that I was even talking about on the way over here is I feel like a lot of people are getting a little bit upset with maybe, everybody's like, rest in peace, Kobe and Gigi, and not everyone is saying, and a lot of people are, so I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but maybe not everyone is recognizing everyone that was in that awful accident. It's highlighted on him. It's just that, people unfortunately pass away every day, right? If we don't know them, they have made no impact on our lives. We're not going to talk about them. We don't know them, Right. And so it's understandable to mourn people more when they've made a huge impact on your life. And so, I think that's why so many people are, and they're making posts and things. It's all about, Kobe and his daughter.
It's an inspiration to everybody in the world. I think it's the fact that it's touched so many people across the world. Mm-hmm. It just goes to show, at least for me, myself, and, just a week ago on the last show, last Friday, this is before he passed away.
I saw that.
I was mentioning stuff about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant has such a big reach, and that's the reason he's all over the place and he's on headlines of everything because he's touched so many people's lives. He's an example for so many people. Mm-hmm. So
and his work ethic, so many professionals talk about it because his work ethic, you don't have to be an athlete, you can incorporate that into any industry that you might be in.
Yeah. And honestly, we're blessed to even have had his presence
absolutely
in our lives, for sure. Yeah. So going into the next question, what would you say? I'm sorry, we just cut that one off, but I know that's a big topic right now. But so, what would you say is one amazing piece of advice that you've received in your life, or maybe one bad piece of advice that you've received in life? I know that's kind of a tough one, and like sometimes people don't have one right off the cuff. But is there one, like let's say even at Guaranteed Rate or New American Funding, a mentor or somebody who's like said to you like, hey, Erica, this is something you should do, or one
for
piece
sure.
of advice that like
I don't know if I could really nail it down to just one or the best, but I can probably tell you a few things that have stood out to me.
Right.
Definitely to be yourself, be original.
Mm-hmm.
Be organic. It's
definitely,
especially when you have any type of following or anything like that. You're reaching people that only know you by content that you're putting out and things like that. And so I think that it's super important to be yourself, and because people can really tell when you're when you're BSing.
Right, that's true.
What else has been like good advice? I've had a lot of good advice. I can't really think off the top of my head any bad advice that stands out. But
nothing bad.
I mean, I'll mention my grandma. My grandma has just always instilled in all of her kids and her grandkids, that you just have to work hard. You work hard and it pays off. And so I've always had that mentality. And regardless of what my job was that I'm doing, I really, truly always try to do the best job that I can possibly do, always be the best that I can be. And the older that I get, the more I'm able to give myself constructive criticism and accept constructive criticism and look for more ways that I can become better at all the things that I'm doing, not just professionally, but, be a better mom, be a better friend, be a better sister, everything.
What do you feel like you do? Like, do you do anything that you practice like on a regular basis to like do that? Or is it just something you remind yourself on a daily, like, hey, like you really need to just hold yourself, be better than you were yesterday, or like
that? Yeah.
Is that really it?
Yes, I always. That's kind of my my idea is I always am trying to be better the next day than I was the day before.
Right.
And I screw up all the time.
We all do.
You know, but I try to take lessons every time any mistakes happen.
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn from it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't believe in failures. I feel like they're all just lessons.
Lessons.
Absolutely. And that's the truth. That's probably one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten is, failing there's nothing wrong with failing. And I think a lot of people beat themselves up over failures.
Yeah, for sure. And I do too, don't get me wrong. I definitely can be very hard on myself. I can be my own worst critic. But, like I said, I think that just the older I get, the more accepting I've become of myself too.
Yeah. And I want to touch on what you kind of said before a little bit about the, social media and how that impacts so much.
Yeah.
What do you do? I know a lot of people do follow you. We were looking at kind of the metrics a little earlier. What would you say is the most effective strategy for implementing that to grow your business in let's say the mortgage industry or insurance or any other industry?
Right.
Do you think it's just posting frequently maybe, or is it
consistency is going to be number one. You really have to have some sort of content that you're putting out, but the content that you put out also needs to be engaging. I was showing you before, and I don't know if maybe we can pop this up when we edit it, right here or something, but
we'll try our best.
But I was showing you before how you can look, and I use LinkedIn a lot for my professional. That is my go-to for business. I will say LinkedIn followed by Facebook.
Okay.
Instagram is a great platform to use as well, but I think that my personal Instagram is not. It's mixed with a lot of friends and professional connections. So it's not my go-to. But with LinkedIn, I do like that it's got a lot of features that will help you track and see
metrics,
what your content is doing. And so what I was showing you before is, you can go in and you can see who's viewed your profile. And so every single time I post a video with good content, the profile views will go up. And so you're reaching more people. Your network is growing because anytime that someone comments on one of your posts or likes one of your posts, now that post is viewable to everyone in their network.
Yep.
So it is a huge snowball effect.
Definitely.
And so you've got to, again, going back to being original, staying true to yourself, just really being yourself and adding value. I like to put out content that I think is going to help people.
Sure.
Whether it be other recruiters or whether I'm, giving some valuable information about how originators can grow their business or whatever it might be. Or sometimes I'll even post things it could be to anybody sort of trying to help them grow their network.
Right.
So it doesn't even have to be industry specific. But the more people that you can capture, the bigger your network's going to grow. And in our businesses, anybody can be a client, really. I mean, anybody needs insurance. Anybody needs a home loan. So you don't have to be just specific to that industry. You just have to make a brand for yourself. It's great. Everybody that works for a company, to an extent, you will need to brand the company.
Definitely.
But you need to brand yourself more.
Sure.
100%.
And like you said earlier as well, you were saying, at the end of the day, it's kind of you need to build those relationships, those friendships. Because at the end of the day, let's say I'm ready to go and purchase my home. Who am I going to choose? The guy, the person I'm going out with, having a drink on the weekends, or am I going to choose some random guy that just sent me a message on LinkedIn? There's a good chance I'm going to go with the person that is my friend, and I'll go out and have a drink on a Friday night.
Exactly.
So.
And that's what I'll do too. I try to, that's how I met you, right? I met you at an event like that.
Actually, I sent you a message.
Oh, you sent me that? Okay.
Right.
All right.
That's what I did. So I remember I saw you, I had just connected with you out of random probably because I was looking for, potential referral partners.
Yeah.
Connected with you and I saw you posted something about the event that I was co-hosting and I just said, "Hey Erica, how's it going? I'm co-host of this event.
How funny, right?
I'll hopefully see you there tonight or something along those lines." Yeah. And then I ended up seeing you. I was like, "Wow, this is cool." And then I think we even did a little
Yeah, we did.
then?
We did a video at that
was a good
event
one.
too. And then so yeah, I'll try to host like, you know, different sort of happy hours, things like that.
Would you say
where
those
you
are?
can socialize.
Do you think those
people.
are effective? Have you gotten?
I do.
Good
yeah,
connections or good relationships?
absolutely. And you know, it's funny because even people that haven't been to an event that I've invited, and for some reason they might not have been able to make it, but it opened up that door to have that relationship. They're like, oh, let me know the next one. And then they'll see my pictures from the event or photos or videos, whatever it might be. And they're like, oh, that looks like you guys had a great time. Let me know when you're having the next one. So it works.
Very cool. And Erica, we probably got to start wrapping it up.
Sure.
And I like to end the show with a go-to quote. Is there one particular, and I know you're not prepared for any of these, so I'm just throwing these at you. I don't, like, you don't, might not have one. But is there one like that maybe you live your life by, or that's like kind of resonated with you throughout the years, that might be one quote that you're like, okay, like that's one that I go to? Is there? Would you feel like there's one of those, or?
You know, I would have to say like that. I don't know if this is a quote, but the golden rule. You know, that's something that I definitely live by. You have to treat other people how you want to be treated.
Right.
Because that goes for anybody in the whole wide world.
Do you believe in business karma?
Absolutely, I believe in any karma for sure.
Right.
For sure.
I get huge.
referrals. I get referrals all the time from people that are not in the industry that will say, "Hey, I know this person is a loan officer and they're looking for, you know, another company to go to." And they're just random people that just know what I do, you know.
Right.
So absolutely, business
Very
karma
cool.
goes a long way.
Well, thank you, Erica. I really appreciate you coming out here.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for.
It's been fun.
I know you came a long way, so
Not
thank
so
you for
bad.
spreading your knowledge, and hopefully that brought some value to people out there. I'm sure there are a
hope
lot of
so.
people that are just thinking about even going into the industry, and hearing you talk about it. Seriously, like no joke, it'll actually reach more people and hopefully
think
inspire
so?
somebody. And
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Erica. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you
Chris.
so much.